What's up, X-Wing Maniacs? Rob Bear here today with a look at one of the dirtiest lists out there for Wave 8. 3 jump masters. This list is bananas, and we're going to break it down and show you some tips and tactics because, believe it or not, as many people are saying they're going to fly this thing, it's actually pretty hard to fly, believe it or not. So we're going to show you real quick. Now, this is the basic build that a lot of people are taking at the 33 point level because you can fit 3 of these into a 100-point list, right? So first off, you've got the contracted scout, which is your normal pilot skill 3, all normal stat line, all the normal upgrades, and pretty much the normal action bar right there with no special ability. Then of course you got your 0-point modification with the guidance chips to just, help you get extra hits. You're not going to be able to get that crit because your primary attack value is only 2. Now, a lot of army builder programs and fleet builder programs actually have the text wrong on this, I've noticed, so make sure you keep that in mind. You can still use it in this build, you just can't get the crits, right? Then you've got R4 Agromech, another Scum special right here. When attacking, after you would spend a focus token, you may acquire a target lock on the defender. So keep that in mind. There's a specific order of operations right there, which makes Deadeye come into play as well. So Deadeye is an older card, right? But you may treat the attack target lock header as attack focus. So basically, Luke's turning off his targeting computer. He's going to use the Force to launch some torps and take out that Death Star, right? When attack instructs you to spend target lock, you may instead spend a focus token instead. Pretty cut and dry right there. Then you got extra munitions, another favorite that's basically Fantasy Flight's trying to bring back, munitions and ordnance and things. And this was something we saw, I guess, in the last wave there. And it's a great way to do it. What this does is it basically lets you take a token and put it on your ordnance, boom, right there, and thus duplicating it. So if you were going to discard this, you instead discard the token. So instead of spending 6 points for 2 instances of plasma torps, now you're paying basically 5. But if you had more, it would be points effective if you had more slots and you were doing it more than once. But right here, you're only saving a point. It is what it is because, a point at this point, when you're at 99 points for this build, is actually pretty significant, I feel like. Then you got the plasma torps. And to be quite honest, plasma torps may or may not be super effective depending on who you talk to. But the point is that they are cheaper than proton torpedoes. So that's why they seem to be all the rage right now. You have to use them at range 2 to 3, which is easier said than done with these guys because, the jump master's got a fat ass, and sometimes it's hard to realize that, hey, I need to go slow or else I'm going to overshoot my targets. Now, the plasma torpedo is really good because it's 4 dice at range 2 to 3, attack target lock, but you can spend a focus. We talked about that already, right? But what's really cool about it, if the attack hits, after dealing damage, remove 1 shield token from the defender. So if worst comes to worst and you only do 1 damage and they only remove 1 shield, because of the 1 damage, you're going to get their second shield. And a lot of smaller ships, that's all they have. So you got that going for you. So that's the basic build. And like I said, that goes up to 99 points. Now, a couple of ideas that I've already come up with. I like to add in a forlom on one of the ships because basically, yeah, it's only a point and you don't really have to worry about losing initiative because you're already in pilot skill 3 right here. So I'm like, hey, whatever, you might as well go all in at that point. And forlom's really good because before the modify attack dice step, you can receive 1 ion token to choose one of the defender's focus or evade tokens. That token cannot be spent during the attack. So you can lock down their ability to dodge that, plasma torp attack coming in, right? But what also is good is, remember, it takes 2 ion tokens to affect a big ship. So you can theoretically do this twice before you yourself are affected. So for a point, I think he's pretty good to put on at least one of the ships. Now, conversely, if you're an aggressive flyer, like I seem to be, I smash into stuff all the time. I get in people's way. That's why I like a ship with a 360 fire arc. Now, let's just get crazy with the cheese whiz here real quick. What if we take out the extra munitions, take out the token? You're only going to get one chance with each of these torpedoes, which, to be quite honest, a lot of people are going to close the gap on you, and you're going to have to do some really crazy maneuvering to use these to their effectiveness, I guess, so to speak. A lot of players are going to know to get in that one range and just kind of stay there. What if you take feedback array instead? Because it's an illicit, you can take it, the bar is open. And what that does is you're like, wait, is that any good? I don't know. Well, check this out. During the combat phase, instead of performing an attack, because remember, you might be too close, they might be bumping you, something like that. You might not have like a good range, but here's the kicker, right? You may receive one ion token. Remember, it takes more than one to affect a big ship. And suffer 1 damage, okay, no big deal, to choose one enemy ship at range 1. That ship suffers 1 damage, just takes 1 damage. So right then, you can maybe do a combo with your Zuckuss, or excuse me, your Forlom, to lock them down, hit them with this this void shield array with somebody else, you know, this feedback array, and then basically drop one of their shields, get that down, start doing some combos. Sometimes it's good for the guaranteed damage. And look at this, you've got 4 shields on your guys here. Fat bomb ships make the X-Wing world go around, guys. Like this is a boon here. So if you take damage to do a guaranteed shield, and then you have like another jump master in the back at range 2 to 3 to let those torps loose, yeah, that's a combo to me. That's a win-win situation, and I like having the ability to always deal a damage as opposed to not always being able to do a damage, because some of these ships can get out of your arcs, and then you have to go run them down, and it turns into a whole thing. But doing the guaranteed damage on some of these ships that only have like 2 shields and 2 hull, I think you're gonna win that battle with a with a 9 total back end ship right here. So that's my whole like pre-game kind of spiel. Let me show you my ideas on how to maneuver these guys and some tactics on the tabletop to move these big ships around. Alright, so first off, a lot of players forget that part of the game starts in turn 0. It's all about putting out the obstacles. And good players that are going to be running jump masters don't really want an obstacle right here. The ideal placement for a jump master, I feel like, is over in the right corner. Because remember, when you look at the dial, all of their left maneuvers are green. And you got that really dope S loop at white. So you're still going to be able to perform actions after you do that. So this seems to be the optimum placement for the jump masters themselves. Now I put one on the higher peg because that's going to be Forlom, so he's going to be doing some work in the back. That's my coup de grace ship, so to speak. So a savvy player is going to want to put obstacles all up in your grill, all up in this area. So you might have to shift this accordingly. You know, if they put an obstacle right here, you might have to shift them. But as long as you're about 1.25 inches apart from each of your ships, it really shouldn't bother you maneuvering wise, you know, because you're not going to be bumping when you do maneuvers. Now, one of the things that a lot of folks get it twisted about is they start bumping because they don't realize that you have to stagger your deployment, almost like the bars, the reception bars on your cell phone. You kind of have to do that maneuvering to get those angles in there and to do things. So what I recommend is, you know, you do something like, you can kind of, your first maneuvers could be a 3 forward and then like a 2 forward. You can do a double 2 forward, or you can even go super crazy and just hang in the back and just do 1, kind of like, you know, the cell phone reception, right? So you move these guys up, you get into position, and chances are you're setting up first because you're pilot skill 3. So your opponent's going to be like, ooh, I don't know if I want to go straight at you. I think maybe I'll go over here on this side. So they're going to be kind of just juking around, doing their things, just kind of getting up and working around, I feel like. Right? So then your second move is this is where you're kind of setting up your torpedo volleys at this point. So you should, if they get crazy and they come straight at you, you're launching torpedoes now. But if they don't, what you want to do is you want to turn right here, and you can even turn as slight as possible because your lead ship, you know, you're basically turning the corner on these guys and just kind of seeing what they're going to do. So you can just do a 1 easy here and just kind of bank in and just kind of set it up, because at this point you've still got options with your ships. You can still you can cut left, you can do some S loops left, and that'll get you straight. And what's really dirty about these ships is when you S loop left, then and say they try to cut in and they're like, oh ho ho, I'll get over here where their right maneuvers aren't as good as their left maneuvers, I'll show them. Well, there's a little bit of folly in that, because if you S loop this way, with no penalty because it's white, then your next maneuvers are all green, going chasing them down that way. So you showed them, you know what I mean? Now, conversely, they could kind of come at you like this, and then it's all gravy because all your maneuvers are green going that way. So either way, it's a win-win. You just have to set up this right here to kind of let them play into you. But at pilot skill 3, hey, I feel like that's super easy, right? So right here, you're gonna see kind of what they're doing. You know, A-wings are gonna try to like get around your fire arc, but then when you get into the formation like this, they're not gonna be able to get around your fire arc. They're gonna have to go by you to get around your fire arc. So now they're like, oh crap, I'm stuck. You're gonna have, you know, like whispers and phantoms and stuff trying to go around you. A-wings are gonna try to start going around you, or maybe they'll just get crazy and just go this way. It's really hard to say at this point, but right now you should probably be loosing some torpedo volleys. So let's show you how that works. So basically, you're like, yo, all right, well, I'm focused up. I'm going to use a focus. And what's great about using a focus instead of a target lock is if you move and they're not in range because you're pilot skill 3, well then it doesn't matter if they're in range. You don't have to worry about them being in range to target lock them. Now you focused, you're good to go. So I'm going to shoot a plasma torpedo at Poe. All right, I got 2. Checking my cards. All right. Well, first off, I used a focus to launch that torpedo. So boom, there it is. I auto get a target lock on the ship. So wherever he is, say he's up here or something, I auto lock on Poe. And now, because I did that, I can either at this point use that target lock during the modified dice step, or I can just say F it, I'm gonna use my guidance chips, and boom, make that 3 right there. So if you roll hot, there's no need to burn the target lock, and the target lock is on there now, so you don't have to worry about if you red maneuver or something and get kind of crazy that you won't be able to re-engage with the torpedo if you're running a 2 torpedo build. So right there, that was a great roll. They might not be able to get out of it. They might. Either way, you know, it is what it is. It all comes down to dice at that point, I feel like. But now they're like, oh crap, I just got smoked. I just got a bunch of damage. Okay, what am I gonna do? All right, maybe they'll make that snap decision and go right and be like, all right, well, screw his maneuvers, I'll show him. Well, that's where it gets really cool at this point. So step 3 of the Jumpmaster strategy program is you're gonna do that white S turn. So perhaps, maybe all of these guys. It just kind of depends on their positioning. But you're just going to S-turn easy with them. And then this guy might not even have to, just kind of depending on the positioning. He might just kind of like easy one in. Now, that isn't a green maneuver. That is a white maneuver at that point. Let's just pretend I didn't hit that obstacle. It is what it is. But at that point, you've got some really good ranges on a lot of things here. If they've tried to get around you, you're going to have range on them. Remember, these are 360 too. You don't just have to use your torpedoes. But now, step 3, after hopefully you get some 360 shots, or perhaps you are able to get some more torpedoes off because they didn't realize that you had that short S loop. Now, what's going to happen is we go to phase 3 of the strategy program, and what that is these guys can barrel roll. And not a lot of people remember that. They're like, oh crap, you just barrel rolled. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna say everybody's over here, and this is where the action is. Remember, for your torpedoes to be effective, it's at range 2 or 3. So hopefully by this point, you've already got some effective things. You haven't blown your target locks, so you have that target lock on your opponents, and you don't have to worry about focusing, because if you barrel roll, well, you can't focus, and if you can't focus, you know, you're going to have some way to launch those torpedoes. So let's just pretend for a minute that you know, you have that ability to just go at them. So we're just going to get this 3, which is another green maneuver, right? And now say they're like right here-ish. So Poe has somehow ended up over here. He's trying to evade you. You know, he's like, oh, ha, 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 you know, I'm all up in your grill. And another cool thing is that you can just do that barrel roll. And what's cool about the barrel roll is it's going to put you back some. So in case you need to get into that range 3 or that range 2, like say there's another ship right here that now was in range 1, but now it's, you know, now you barrel roll out and it's range 2. Now you can shoot those plasma torpedoes, and they're like, oh crap. And what do you do right here? Well, a lot of people forget. This is a green maneuver going left. So now they realize they are in a spot because they went the wrong way. They thought they were doing the right move, but they haven't done the right move, and they're going to pay for it right there when they get wheeled down by those jump masters. But you know, conversely, if they had snuck around behind you, you could just basically flip the script and do the same thing. Just turn right. They're white maneuvers. They're not red. So it's all good. And then this guy right here, he's got a 4K turn, so he can just, you know, make it work, or he could gently kind of loop back around and just kind of form up with the rest of his friends there. So remember, turn 2, always try to be mid-board, launching those torps. Turn 3, don't be afraid. Hopefully you have those free target locks and you didn't have to use them. But if you did, you did. It is what it is. But don't be afraid to do a barrel roll to slide out of that range if you have a target lock already, because when you let those torpedoes loose two turns in a row, your opponent's probably going to feel it, you know what I mean? So those are just some ideas of basically some things you can do. Now you notice that things might get really jammed up in the middle really quick, because a smart opponent's going to be like, yo, I can't survive. I need to get in there. I need to get at range 1, which still is kind of a folly because you're still going to get 3, but things start bumping, things start getting crazy. It's really cool at that point to have that feedback, right? Because you can just be like, yo, I'm just doing the damage to you. I'm losing a shield. Whatever. It's more of a problem to an A-Wing or a T-70 to lose their shield or to take a damage, a guaranteed damage, than it is for you to be losing that. Oh, see you ion, whatever. Just keep an eye on your ion counter, and you know when you have to go one forward, or know if there's somebody out there with an ion cannon trying to mess with you too. Oh, and another thing too, don't forget, tractor beams do not affect large ships. Oh, you still get the -1 agility, but you can't move around a large ship, regardless if you're a large ship or not. So keep that in mind too. It is a problem with the negative agility, but it isn't a problem with positioning, I feel like. So those are my tips and tactics for running the 3 Jumpmaster Squadron, or as I like to call them, the Fat Bottom Ship Team.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. TheLongWar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.